I am not against meat eating or fish eating because it's allowed by the Creator.
Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So a bunch of you guys wrote to me after my most recent video and live stream about another why I'm no longer vegan video from a raw fruitarian person. I mean, when's this gonna end? And again, it's someone I had never heard of before. Their channel name is Fruit in Sport. So once again, I'm not here to ridicule them. I'm not here to like make fun of raw fruitarian people or anything like that. As always, when I review these why I'm no longer vegan videos, I'm looking primarily at two things. First of all, I want to see if they're ever vegan in the first place. Are they just doing some kind of vegan diet for some kind of fad or trendy reason or something like that? And secondly, I want to see if there was an absolute compelling need for this person to stop eating a diet of all plants, or else they're going to get really sick or die or something like that. If they, like I'm saying, if they had some kind of problem, health problem or something like that, is there a way they could have dealt with it by eating plants instead of having to resort to eating animal bits? So anyway, let's jump right in.
I went to a chiropractor and he said to me, because I had lost weight as skinny as I am when I had the shingles in the beginning, I wasn't eating and exercising like I should, and I lost weight. And he said, you need to eat a bison burger. You're too skinny, man.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure why chiropractors are given health and nutrition advice. I mean, that's not what they're trained in. Secondly, if I had a chiropractor and he or she said, hey, you look a little bit thin, you should eat animal parts because that's the only way to put weight on. What the hell are you talking about? You're completely full of it. So let's see what he did.
So I started thinking about that.
Right, so he actually took his chiropractor's advice seriously, something I would have never done as a vegan. So let's see what this Fruit and Sport guy, I forgot his name, was eating to be so thin. Fortunately, he's had a YouTube channel for quite a long time, so we can see if he's eating a healthy, balanced vegan diet or something weird that would make him be really thin.
Okay, a day in the life of a 74-year-old raw vegan, low-fat raw vegan.
So you got that low-fat raw vegan. Already I'm seeing some problems there, like why raw? There's no compelling reason to eat uncooked food for the rest of your life. And secondly, low-fat, if you want to put some weight on, maybe consider having a bit more fat. But anyway, let's check out his fridge that he's so happy to show off.
I got the fridge stocked up. Just got back from Immokalee. I got the oranges. This here is my cane juice, and in here I've got one coconut.
I mean, seriously? I mean, this is a refrigerator stocked with oranges. You're promoting a mono diet. That's what you're doing here, eating nothing but oranges. Yeah, you're balancing it out a little bit. With a coconut and cane sugar or something like that?
Okay, so what does a 74-year-old raw vegan on a high fruit diet eat for lunch? It all depends. It could be any type of fruit. And today, I just happen to have half of a watermelon blended.
I mean, it's pretty clear why Fruit and Sport is underweight and why his chiropractor suggested eating burgers to try to put on a few pounds. Yeah, this is some kind of extreme restrictive diet, which is typical and common amongst raw fruitarians because you're giving up completely healthy whole food groups like, say, potatoes and starches. Heck, they're afraid to steam broccoli even because it cooks the food. I mean, there's absolutely no reason as a vegan to go to such an extreme measure. It doesn't help the animals anymore, and that's what veganism is. It's a stance against animal cruelty and exploitation. And nowhere in the definition of veganism does it even remotely suggest that you need to give up all cooked food for the animals because it's more toxic and harms you or something like that. No, that's not veganism. Now you've ventured into some new thing, raw food, natural hygiene. And if you want to follow that extreme and restrictive diet for yourself, all right, cool, do it. The problem is way too many raw fruitarian, raw vegan people end up being quite underweight. They don't get enough nutrition from their diets, even though they think they're getting all this super bonus nutrition points because their food's not being cooked, and they think the cooking destroys all the nutrients and all the enzymes and all this stuff. All that's complete nonsense. In fact, health organizations from around the world recommend doing the opposite of what these fruitarians are doing. They recommend eating a well-planned, balanced, sensible vegan diet, and that is what's nutritionally adequate. They don't recommend just stocking up on nothing but oranges and a coconut.
My brother happened to say, Tom, you need to shock your system. You need a T-bone steak or ribeye steak or something, you know?
Oh, your brother says that you should eat dead animals. So why didn't you tell us that in the first place? That makes it totally justifiable now. Not.
So I started thinking about that, and now, mind you, I've been vegan for 16 years. No meat, no chicken, no fish.
Well, not so quick there. I'm not so sure if you're actually vegan, against animal cruelty and exploitation for 16 years. Sounds like you were doing a vegan diet for 16 years, and an extremely restrictive one at that, but let's see him describe how he went vegan.
It all began back in 2008. When my wife and I went vegan overnight. And following the advice of Dr. Graham, we both started to eat copious amounts of fruit.
Ah, did you hear that? Dr. Graham. I know exactly who he's talking about. He's talking about chiropractor Doug Graham. I know his work very well. I've read the 80-10-10 book many times, and nowhere in here is this anyway to be considered a tome about veganism. It doesn't describe animal cruelty and exploitation. Well, it makes one little mention of it in one paragraph when he talks about how humans weren't designed to eat meat, and he threw in the animal cruelty and exploitation as almost an afterthought. No, this is a book that tells you that we are some kind of ape. That's our ultimate diet. Our optimal diet is to eat like pre-technology apes before they had access to stoves and cooking and stuff like that. But that's not vegan. It's read the book anyway. This is not about going vegan. It's all about how to become a raw fruitarian, a raw vegan. So I'm pretty convinced that, I guess his name is Tom, was not ever a vegan. If this is the book and the philosophy that made him go vegan, no, he's doing something else, but it's not veganism.
Bananas are what rice is to the Chinese people. It's their staple.
What the F, bro? I'm vegan and Chinese, and rice is a staple part of my diet. What are you talking about?
For a vegan, the staple should be fruit.
No, you're just repeating the nonsense that Doug Graham's talking about, 80-10-10. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love fruit. I love bananas. I just had a 5 or 6 banana smoothie just a couple hours ago after I got back from the gym. But I'm going to go on and eat other kinds of cooked food later on today, too. There's nothing about veganism that demands that fruit be the staple of your diet, unless you're following some nonsense like this.
You could be a cooked vegan, and you could make your staple starches, potatoes, rice, beans, things like that. With those foods, you have to cook them.
Oh no, the horrors of having to go to your rice pod or steam some potatoes or something like that. Oh my God.
They're not a natural food because we don't just, dig up potatoes and start eating them like an apple. It's not a natural food. Beans, they're hard as rocks. We couldn't eat them unless we cooked them.
All right, you heard it here, man. I can't make this crap up. Yeah, fruitarians believe this stuff, that beans and potatoes, whole foods that grow out of the earth, they're not natural foods. Like, what? Are they made out of plastic grown in outer space? No, their logic is just that. Because you have to cook them, it's not natural. Because in their mind, and they don't have a real true understanding of our ancient past. What ancient ancestors are they talking about when they talk about early humans? Are you talking about, like, say, Homo erectus, Homo sapien? Or are we going further back in time to Australopithecus? And what part of the world, what latitude are we talking about? They don't know. They've never made any specific claims. They just talk about our ancient ancestors with some kind of fantasy, like what they imagine it was like for them. But let's give the fruitarians here a little lesson about how far back in time our ancient ancestors actually have been cooking potatoes and stuff. It turns out our ancient ancestors already had the technology about 750,000 years ago to roast nuts and tubers. That's around 750,000 years ago. And there's a growing body of scholarship arguing that these easily digestible carbohydrates found in these tubers that they dug out of the ground and cooked helped meet the energy demands of growing brains. So if you wish your diet to emulate these ancient apes that predate the Homo genus by hundreds of thousands of years, you can rest assured that cooking potatoes is not violating any of your philosophies.
And I'm thinking, you know, maybe I should try it. What do I have to lose, you know?
Nothing to lose other than you won't be vegan anymore. And that just shows me that, you know, remember I'm telling you from the outset, I'm looking to see if these people, in this case, Tom, was ever vegan. And I doubt he was. And by saying that, he's definitely not vegan anymore. Case in point, if my chiropractor said, hey, Ryan, you're looking a little thin. You should eat a bison burger to put on some weight. First of all, I would tell him to F off. Secondly, if I really took my chiropractor's dietary advice to heart, and I'm not sure why I would say, okay, are there ways I could change my orthorexic way of eating where I'm afraid to eat anything beyond like oranges and juice to put on some weight? Yeah, I would eat differently. I would say, hey, maybe I need to eat those horrible steamed potatoes, you know? And Doug Graham doesn't recommend eating meat, but just in the same way Doug Graham doesn't recommend eating potatoes. So I don't know why he's violating the raw principles for meat. Anyway, this is not something a vegan would do, is what my point is.
And I started to think about it too from a biblical point of view.
So now, in order for him in his mind to justify animal cruelty and exploitation, he's going to try to make himself feel better by saying that the Bible says it's cool to do this stuff to the animals.
The Creator definitely knows. And if he gave it to man, it cannot be bad. I am not against meat eating or fish eating because it's allowed by the Creator at this point in time.
If that's what you need to say to yourself to make you feel better when you needlessly pay to have an animal killed for you to eat so you could try to put on weight, well, you just throw that stupid raw dogma away and not be so damn afraid of eating cooked food. I don't know why you're so cool. I'll kill an animal without thinking twice about it. I guess because you're not vegan, but you're unwilling just to try a sensible, balanced, well-planned vegan diet to help correct your being underweight from years of eating an extreme and restrictive diet. Before I end this video, I want to go back to something he said earlier in the video about him having shingles, which is not a disease. It's a reactivation of the virus that causes chickenpox. It causes an itchy rash that's typically on one side of your body or face. And it says eating a balanced diet that's low in glycemic carbohydrates and processed foods can help your immune system fight off the virus. So complex carbohydrates are highly recommended. And look at all these fantastic foods here, like say brown rice, barley, quinoa, sweet potato, whole oats, couscous, which are all foods that you need to cook. Foods that would be great for him with his shingles, but he's too afraid to eat because of raw dogma. So it makes me wonder if his chiropractor had been someone like me or Angie, you know, whole foods vegan, would have he made a different kind of video? Maybe like, why I'm no longer raw vegan, rather than eating animal products in a lame attempt to gain weight and making this why I'm no longer vegan video. So yeah, I don't think he was ever vegan. I don't think any vegan would just say, hey, yeah, chiropractor and brother, yeah, I'm underweight. I'll take your advice and have a steak, rather than consider other plant-based ways of consuming more calories. Just give up the raw food for a bit there, Tom, you know, and don't be afraid to eat foods that you haven't had in 16 years as a vegan. Perfectly healthy foods. And if anyone thinks I'm full of shit, you raw vegans, come to my Friday live streams and let me see one single study that shows that, say, eating legumes is going to take even a minute off of my life. I would love to see that, but you're not going to find that because that's just bullshit. Anyway, guys, hit like, share this video, and let me know what you think about people who would rather eat meat than potatoes and legumes and rice in an attempt to gain weight. It just blows my mind. So comment down below. I'll see you guys Friday. Remember, doesn't suck being vegan unless you're raw.